Okay, according to my clock, it is now 7 o'clock. So I will call to order the, excuse me, the Dartmouth Conservation Commission for our meeting of Tuesday, July 8th, 2025. This meeting is being conducted remotely as a result of Governor Healy signing on March 28, 2025, legislation further extending the hybrid remote option for municipalities. She extended that option through June 30, 2027. Our meetings are conducted in a fashion that people who are watching can participate. There is a raise your hand feature at the bottom bar of the screen. And if that's not working, please just wave your hand and you will be unmuted. I ask anyone who is not speaking on a matter to please keep your microphone muted so that the ambient noise doesn't interfere with the presentation of those who are speaking. I will also point out that tonight's meeting was duly posted in accordance with Massachusetts law and the requirements of the town of Dartmouth bylaws. That being said, we have a quorum tonight of 5 commissioners, and an affirmative vote will require a positive vote from 4 out of 5 in order to carry the day. So a 3-2 vote is a negative. Okay. First item of business is administrative, and we're going to take up the approval of the meeting minutes for June 10, 2025. May I have a motion to that effect, please?
So moved.
Second.
We have a seconded motion on the floor. Roll call vote. James?
Yes.
Nat?
Yes.
Donald?
Yes.
Richard?
Yes.
My vote is yes. And before we move to the next, I almost said I wouldn't. Donald, welcome. We have a new commissioner, Donald Mirsky, who was sworn in, I guess, last week or yesterday. So you're a newly minted commissioner. We appreciate your interest in the commission and your participation. Thank you, Donald.
Okay, thank you.
Welcome.
So our second administrative item is the approval of the field trip reports of June 24, 2025. May I have a motion to that effect, please?
So moved.
Second.
We have a seconded motion on the floor. Roll call vote. James?
Yes.
Nat?
Yes.
Donald?
Yes.
Richard?
Yes.
My vote is yes. That motion passes unanimously. The third administrative item is to receive the minutes of June 24, 2025. May I have a motion to that effect, please?
So moved.
Second.
We have a seconded motion on the floor. Roll call vote. James?
Yes.
Nat?
Yes.
Donald?
Yes.
Richard?
Yes.
My vote is yes. That motion passes unanimously. Commissioners, before we move on to the field trip reports, I would respectfully request that we entertain a motion to take out of order the Buzzards Bay Coalition request for DeVol Field Tannery Lane, which was an item for discussion under item B. And we take that out of order and have that come after our field trip reports. Is there any discussion on that request?
So moved.
Mr. Chairman, I just want to suggest to the commission that Mr. Arnett is not yet up on the Zoom meeting, so.
Understood. I'm not going to take it up at this moment. It'll be after the.
No,
field
I know. But
he was informed and said he would come on at the beginning of the meeting. So we do have a motion to take out of order Buzzards Bay Coalition, DeVol Field Tannery Lane. The second on that motion.
Second.
We have a seconded motion. Roll call vote. James?
Yes.
Nat?
Yes.
Donald?
Yes.
Richard?
Yes.
My vote is yes. That motion passes unanimously. We're moving on to our field trip reports. And the first is a request for determination of applicability, RDA 25-9 from Joseph M. De Silva to construct a two-car garage with associated breezeway and an unfinished loft above. It's on an existing asphalt driveway within the 100-foot buffer zone to a bordering vegetated wetland. The regulations are 310 CMR 10.02, 10.55, and Section 360, 2B of the Town of Dartmouth bylaws. The land is described as map 24, lot 4. It's otherwise known as 19 Shingle Island Lane. Mark, what is the recommendation of staff on this request?
Yes, this is a proposed two-car garage, and as the chairman mentioned, it is going to be situated over an existing paved driveway. The driveway is in the buffer zone, as will the two-car garage. The wetland is a BVW, it's off-site, and it's the garage is in the latter or the higher linear footage of buffer zone. It's not close to the wetland at all. Therefore, staff is recommending a -3 determination with our standard erosion control condition.
Okay. Does any commissioner have any questions of Mark?
No.
Seeing none, I'll entertain a motion to issue a standard, excuse me, a -3 determination with our standard erosion control conditions.
Second.
Second.
Seconded motion on the floor, roll call vote. James,
Yes.
Nat,
Yes.
Donald,
Yes.
Richard.
Yes.
My vote is yes. That motion passes unanimously. The second field trip report is a request for determination of applicability, RDA 25-10, from Christopher and Jeanette Hall to construct a 12-foot by 18-foot house addition between the house and garage in a lawn landscaped area with the riverfront area and the 100-foot buffer zone to a coastal bank. It's applicable regs 310 CMR 10.02, 10.54, 10.58, and Section 362B of the Town of Dartmouth bylaws. The land is described as map 28, lot 27, is otherwise known as 842 Rockadundy Road, and I will have to recuse myself on this. So Nat, if you would like to take over for this, I'd appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, Mike. Mark, your comments, please.
Yes, this is a small addition to an existing house. It is in a lawn area. The lawn area falls within the buffer zone to coastal bank and also falls within the riverfront area of the very upper portion of the Slocum River. So there is a resource area involved here. However, staff is recommending a -2 determination due to both buffer zone and riverfront, and again, with our standard erosion control condition.
Thank you, Mark. Any questions from any of the commissioners? Okay. With no questions, I'll entertain a motion for a -2 determination with our standard erosion control conditions.
So moved.
Can I get a
Second.
second? Motion's been seconded. Roll call vote. Richard,
Yes.
James,
Yes.
Donald,
Yes.
and I vote yes. That passes unanimously.
Thank you. Our third field trip report is a request for a certificate of compliance, DEP file 15-2437 and RCC 25-13. It's from Dion and Susanna Calida to construct a single-family house and yard area and to further restore some unintended minor wetland impacts. The applicable regulations are 310 CMR 10.02, 10.55, and Section 360 2B of the Town of Dartmouth bylaws. The land is described as map 122, lot 91-1. It's otherwise known as 25 Thatcher Street. Mark, staff's recommendation on this request.
Yes, the applicant has removed all of the unauthorized impacts, and where revegetation was required, they did so. Actually, they did a little more than they actually needed to do, but the plants are doing fine. The area has been restored, and staff is recommending a complete COC in this matter.
Thank you. Any commissioner have any question? Not seeing any, I'll entertain a motion to issue a complete certificate of compliance in DEP file 15-2437.
So moved.
Second.
We have a seconded motion on the floor. Roll call vote. James?
Yes.
Nat?
Forgive me. Yes.
Yes. Donald?
Yes.
Richard?
Yes.
My vote is yes. That passes unanimously. The fourth and final field trip report is a request for a certificate of compliance, DEP file 15-2685, RCC 25-14, from Alfred Brum, BRUM, to expand a garage and to restore wetland vegetation along the edges of a pre-existing pathway to a down gradient stream. The applicable regulations are 310 CMR 10.02, 10.55, and Section 362B of the Town of Dartmouth bylaw. The land is described as map 62, lots 26 and 27. It's otherwise known as 585 Hicksville Road. Mark, what is staff's recommendation on this request?
In this case, the garage was constructed in accordance with the plan of record. The revegetated area was successfully revegetated, is doing very well. Therefore, staff is recommending a complete COC in this matter.
Thank you, Mark. Any commissioner have any questions or comments? Not seeing any, I'll entertain a motion to issue a complete certificate of compliance on DEP file 15-2685.
So moved.
Second.
We have a seconded motion on the floor. Roll call vote. James?
Yes.
Nat?
Yes.
Donald?
Yes.
Richard?
Yes.
My vote is yes. That motion passes unanimously. Is Brandon here at this point?
I do not see him.
Well, we'll have to pass over that matter and go on to the public hearings. And when he arrives, we'll fit him in between public hearings. The first is a continued public hearing, DEP file 15-2791, NOI 24-25. It's on the notice of intent from Craig Schnell, care of Jamie Bissonette, for the installation of an in-ground pool and concrete paver patio with associated grading within the 100-foot buffer zone to a bordering vegetated wetland. The applicable regulations are 310 CMR 10.02, 10.55, and Section 362B of the Town of Dartmouth bylaws. The land is described as map 128, lot 14_9, otherwise known as 12 Avis Street. I entertain a motion to waive the reading.
So moved.
Second.
We have a seconded motion on the floor. Roll call vote. James?
Yes.
Nat?
Yes.
Donald?
Yes.
Richard?
Yes.
My vote is yes. That motion passes unanimously. Is someone here this evening that wishes to speak on behalf of the applicant?
Good evening, Mr. Chair. Jamie Bissonette from Zenith Consulting Engineers.
Good evening, Jamie.
Good evening. May I share my screen?
Yes, please.
All right, thank you. All right, so let me zoom in a little bit. The applicant is proposing a pool with patio in the backyard. The pool is going to be an in-ground style pool, about 16 feet wide by 36 feet long. It's going to be a saltwater cartridge filter, so there'll be no backwash. The patio itself is going to extend off of the existing concrete patio. It's going to require some grading around the site. The site slopes from the front to the back towards the wetland system in the rear here. We're proposing erosion control in the back here as shown. Also proposed to help offset or mitigate the impervious coverage increase is roof drains. Right now, the roof drains just drain towards the wetland resource. So we're picking them up in some chambers with stone over here and also on this side over here. We've worked with Mark, gone through a couple of iterations to try to minimize impacts. We're able to get the pool and the patio outside of the 25-foot buffer with his guidance, and have also added some proposed mitigations with shrub plantings in the back here. Besides that, I don't think I have anything else to add, but I'm happy to try to answer any questions you might have.
Thank you, Jamie. Mark, I would now be interested in hearing staff's comments on this proposal.
Yeah, I think Jamie covered it pretty well. We did go through a few iterations on the site plan that's in front of you. This is a very tight site with a very large house on it. And I wanted the development outside of the 25-foot no activity zone that we have in our bylaw. And for the most part, this version does that. There is some minor grading and some plantings that might extend into the 25-foot, but that 25-foot area is largely lawn area right now. You can see on the plan near the top, the upper property line, there's an approximate tree line. So all this work is in lawn area. And I think this is a reasonable compromise to what I was suggesting to the applicant and the engineer. So staff is recommending a standard order of conditions as per the plan, the revised plan dated 6/30/25. That is the plan to accompany NOI. It is a revision plan. And we are also adding some modified restoration conditions, which would be special condition 41, if I could read them, where project sites are designated for resource replacement, replication, or restoration, whether by approved project impact violation or as a result of an enforcement order, all work shall conform with the following protocols. A, all planting and restoration work shall include only native shrub plantings and be completed immediately following the pool installation and not after October 15th of any year prior to the sunset of the final order. Upon completion, a conservation agent shall be notified so that an inspection of said work can be made prior to the close of the growing season. B, when using seed mixes of any type or source, the Conservation Commission shall require all sowing of seed to be at the specified density and aerial coverage. C, the Conservation Commission shall require the minimum woody plant specifications to include all individual shrub sizes of no less than 3 to 5 gallon pots or balls as proposed, if applicable, as opposed to any size specification presented on the plan of record. D, all plantings that fail to survive through the first full growing season or any region shall be replaced by the applicant or their successors or assigns.
Thank you, Mark. Does any commissioner have any questions regarding the proposed request or staff's comments? I don't see any. Is it possible, Jamie, to stop sharing the screen, please?
Yes.
Thank you. Is there anyone in the audience this evening that wants to speak on this application? I don't see anyone. At this point, I would entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
So moved.
Second.
Second on motion, with seconded motion. Roll call vote. James,
Yes.
Nat,
Yes.
Donald,
Yes.
Richard.
Yes.
My vote is yes. That motion passes unanimously. I would now entertain a motion to issue a standard order of conditions in accordance with the revised plan dated June 30, 2025, as modified by the restoration condition number 41, which was spoken into the record by Mr. Garrett.
So moved.
Second.
We have a seconded motion on the floor. Roll call vote. James,
Yes.
Nat,
Yes.
Donald,
yes,
Richard.
Yes.
My vote is yes. That motion passes unanimously. Still no Brandon?
Nope.
Okay. Moving on to number 2, public hearing. It's a continued public hearing, DEP file 15-2763, NOI 24-53. It's on the notice of intent from Carl M. Furman for the proposed demolition of a single-family residence and soil absorption system and the reconstruction of a new single-family residence, soil absorption system, utilities and site work on a barrier beach coastal dune within land subject to coastal storm flowage and within the 100-foot buffer zone to a salt marsh. The applicable regulations are 310 CMR 10.02, 10.04, 10.27, 10.28, 10.29, 10.32, and Section 360-2 of the Town of Dartmouth bylaws. The land is described as map 87, lot 20. It's otherwise known as 13 Smith Avenue. I'll entertain a motion to waive the reading.
So moved.
Second.
We have a seconded motion on the floor. Roll call vote. James,
Yes.
Nat,
Yes.
Donald,
yes,
Richard.
Yes.
My vote is yes. That motion passes unanimously. And now I'll turn the floor.
Mr. Chairman, if I
Sure.
could raise a point of order here.
Yes.
As we have a new member, Donald Mirsky. Donald, have you been able to review all of the previous public hearings and discussions?
no,
Okay, well then
Okay,
I
so
do
Donald,
not
you're not gonna be
believe
able to vote.
he can sit on this.
Well, yeah, you're not going to be able to vote because you didn't, you weren't present for the other public hearings and you didn't review those tapes. So that means, Rick, that means you need to have a unanimous vote of the commissioners, 4 out of 4, in order to get an affirmative. I'll leave it up to you. You can ask, and I think in that instance, 100% be granted a continuance if you want to wait for a fuller complement or for Mr. Mirsky to be able to review the previous public hearings and then be able to vote. But I'll leave it up to you. I'm not going to tell you what to do. We do have enough with 4, but it will require a unanimous vote.
Thanks, Mr. Chairman. Rick Sharon from Sharon Associates here on behalf of Carl and Alicia Furman. I frankly am not looking to get a vote tonight because we have some information that came in after the Thursday deadline for response. And so I wasn't able to get any kind of written response in to recent comments from Rebecca Haney and also from Eric Carlson, both of which had items which were supportive of this project. So in as much as we cannot, frankly, the problem is you have in order to challenge anything, if there's any appeal of this at a future date, we can only work with what's been put in writing as of the time of the vote. And since we haven't been able to have opportunity to put anything in writing to respond to the latest information, it would be inappropriate, I think, to ask for a vote tonight. So I think perhaps the new member will have plenty of time between now and the next meeting to review the previous tapes. But that'd be my opinion on that.
I would agree with you, Mr. Sharon. I think that is appropriate. And I understand exactly what you're saying. I just saw some of the communications this week, which
Yes.
obviously came in after the time for those to have been incorporated and addressed according to the Town of Dartmouth regulations for when those submissions must be made. So I think that is appropriate. But if you wish to proceed anyway with not with the vote, but just with a continuation of your presentation, that would be appropriate as well.
Yeah, I'd be happy to do that because we think we've made some changes since the project was first proposed, including a reduction in the building footprint to what's now 9% less than the existing structures on the property. We also have done extensive work on a planting plan, which is going to take the existing. There's only about 750 feet of existing vegetation that could be labeled as native to a dune or to a barrier beach. That's being supplemented actually sixfold. We're going to have over 4,000 square feet of area that will be similarly planted, taking the place of the existing lawn, which is just basically lawn grasses, very shallow rooted lawn grasses, as opposed to deep rooted dune grasses and other types of plantings. In addition to that, the plantings were chosen to provide habitat to a lot of non-endangered species that are present in the area. So all of that was put into it to try to, which I say, meet standards and try to provide a better project. And I think possibly,
Excuse me, Rick.
yes.
Mr. Chairman, this is Chip Nyland. I represent the applicant. I don't think we should have any testimony this evening. We should just have a continuance because I don't want to have any question in terms of any testimony offered tonight that would not allow other commissioners to vote on this matter at a later time. So I think we want to just continue it for a month so that we have time to respond to the items that have been presented and we can go forward. I don't think, and I'm sorry to interrupt, Rick, but you don't want to present testimony and then there's a question in terms of what took place this evening. It should just be a straight continuance with no discussion at all about the project, whether it meets performance standards or otherwise.
All right, Mr. Chairman, I'm going to go with Mr.
sorry.
Nyland's advice.
Okay, so based on Mr. Nyland's advice, and believe it or not, I agree with you, Mr. Nyland. Attorney Nyland.
You don't need to
I think
apologize.
that is appropriate because then neither Liz nor Megan would be able to vote without hearing tonight's meeting. So I think that is an appropriate request and a sensible one. Commissioners, we're down to 4 voting, and some of the material that just came in this week has not been addressed by Mr. Sharon. He couldn't have addressed it. Even if he did, it wouldn't have been submitted in time because that would have been last week, Wednesday, I believe. So I think it's appropriate that we continue this public hearing. We do have a meeting coming up on July 22nd. So if you want that one, we can give you that one or the week following. We meet every 2 weeks.
Yeah, I think, and this is Chip Nyland again, Mr. Chairman. I think that if we're on the 22nd, that would mean we'd have to get something in next week. So I'd prefer to go to the one after that, which would give us a couple of weeks to respond to the technical memorandum as well as Rebecca Haney and other material.
All right, Mark, do we have a date on that? That would be
Yeah,
our
but
first
before I give
meeting
you the dates, I just want to share with Mr. Sharon and Mr. Nyland. We're running into a problem. We had scheduled a meeting, the following meeting after the 22nd, to be August 12th. One of our members is not here tonight because she has a conflict. She's our representative on the Community Preservation Committee, and they meet the same night that we do. We thought we had skewed it, and apparently that didn't happen. So I'm not trying to tell anybody what to do. I'm just making you aware that if there is, and there likely will be, a CPC meeting on August 12th, Megan Morrison will probably not be available.
So could we continue to the 12th? And if that event comes up, then we could continue that evening to the next meeting.
Sure, but we may have enough, we may have 6 people at that meeting,
Okay.
even if Megan's not here. But I just wanted to make you aware that that's what I would anticipate happening.
No, I appreciate that very much. And I guess that if we continue it to August 12th, then we could keep our options open. And then if it would be appropriate for us to go forward that night, we can, or we could continue to the following meeting.
I think that's a sensible solution. So commissioners, Do any of you have any questions first? And then I'm going to say, is there anyone in the audience this evening that's here for this particular proposal and wants to be heard tonight, understanding we're in all likelihood in a few moments going to continue this until August 12th?
Just
In
as
which
long as
time-
there's no testimony offered this evening, Mr. Chairman, if they could just ask procedural questions. But again, I want to make sure the record is clear that there was no testimony or any evidence offered this evening. So if I may,
Understood.
if I could just limit those questions to procedural, I would appreciate that.
Very good. Is there anyone here with a procedural question on this matter? I don't see any. So commissioners, I'll at this point entertain a motion to continue this public hearing until our meeting of August 12, 2025 at 7 p.m.
So moved.
Second.
We have a seconded motion. Roll call vote. James,
Yes.
Nat,
Yes.
Donald.
Present.
Yes or no?
Am I permitted to vote on this?
Well, it's just to continue. I don't think that's a problem. Yes.
Okay, yes.
Yeah. And my vote is yes. That's a unanimous.
You
Affirmative vote.
catch me, Mike?
Oh, did I miss you? How the hell did I miss you, Richard?
That's
Most
easy.
important guy here, Richard.
Yes.
Okay. Now it's unanimous. Okay. So
All right.
we'll see you on the 12th of August.
And thank
Thank
you
you.
very much, and I apologize for interrupting and.
No, I'm glad you did.
discussion.
Your
Okay.
point was well taken. You
Thank-
certainly
Thank you very much.
you saved us from a little bit of egg on our face. So I appreciate that.
All right. Thank you. Good
Have a
evening.
good evening.
The third public hearing is a continued. Oh, by the way, is Brandon here?
He is.
I am.
Okay.
Yeah.
Brandon, you can have the floor on the items for discussion, which is your request for the Duval Field Tannery Lane. And then after you're concluded with your presentation and our vote, if there is to be a vote, we'll move on to the third public hearing.
Okay. Thank you, Mike. Good evening, everyone. My name is Brendan Nett. I am Vice President of Watershed Protection at Buzzards Bay Coalition. I wanted to present to you this project that you've gotten some information on, a brief summary and some maps. So Buzzards Bay Coalition is interested in purchasing the 2.5 acre property that had been owned by the Duval family for a long time. The property is, most of you I think are familiar with it. It's shown on the maps that I shared through Mark, just south of Duval's store in Russell's Mills. It's at the head of tide on the Slocum's River, right where the freshwater of the Pascamansa is coming out into the estuary, immediately pinned between Horseneck Road and Rockadundee Road. The address is actually Tannery Lane. Many of you are probably familiar with, in fact, all of you are probably familiar with it from driving by. There's a residential house on the property now. Our interest is to acquire the property, remove the house and the garage. There's a small shed that we would keep there to support property maintenance and stewardship. We would maintain the property as the open field that it is, an open meadow and open to the public. The idea here is that there's conservation value into removing the septic system and the wastewater that comes from the single residence and preventing the redevelopment of the site immediately adjacent to the head of tide on the estuary. And very importantly, the habitat associated with the river and public access to this site, which is in this unique location, close to the village center and the store, close to the town park that's just downstream, and other conservation lands at this unique site on the river, rather scenic and ecologically valuable. Also a place where we'd like to prevent redevelopment of the site. As you can imagine, it's at the head of tide. As sea level rises, it's an area that's subject to increasing risks. And I shared some of those flood projection and sea level rise maps with you, as well as the potential for the adaptation of salt marsh. So those are the conservation values. what is going on is that Buzzards Bay Coalition is interested in, we have it under agreement. We're working with a partner. Actually, I should say that's another element of this, is that we're interested in working with this partner, DATMA, which is Design, Art, and Technology Massachusetts. They've their thing is installing public art, and I shared with you actual photos that some of you may remember from about 15 years ago when some public art was installed down on the Slocum's River Reserve. The idea here is, could we have some outdoor sculpture at a place like this that is really engaging to the public and which would catch people's attention and interest people and attract people to the site, that the art theme intention would be a site like this at the head of tide that interprets, you know, the changes that we're expecting as sea level rises. So that's just a unique element of the project that's part of this. Okay, so what we're doing is we're interested in purchasing the property for conservation land and public access. We'd like to pursue a state grant. The state grant requires that a partner hold a conservation restriction on it. And I've had conversations with Mark, some of our other staff here have. I understand the concern about take the Conservation Commission, the town taking on additional conservation restrictions. There is something different about this property. It's not 80 or 100 acres of woods that's hard to get to or hard to keep track of the boundaries. The difference with this property is, of course, you can drive by the property on one of the 3 abutting roads and essentially see everything that's going on the property. So it's a property that's easy to keep track of and keep eyes on, even in the course of, you know, regular business in the course of a couple of weeks, you're likely to pass by there. Additionally, Buzzards Bay Coalition land management staff would manage and maintain this property for, you know, the type of public use that I'm talking about, with a parking area and probably some benches and picnic tables and the meadow. It's a place where we would have regular presence, maintaining the vegetation, cleaning things up, you know, taking care of the parking area and the limited amenity that would be there. So that's a quick summary of the project, as well as I try to summarize really quickly what I came to Mark and wanted to ask of the commission is, would the commission provide a letter of support that we could submit with our grant application to the state as we try to pursue this, and in that indicate that the commission would be willing to hold the required conservation restriction on the property.
Thank you, Brandon. Mark, do you have any comments that you'd like to add?
Yes, as you know, we have had several discussions on the commission taking on CRs due to the manpower requirements of typical CRs, large parcels of land, generally undeveloped, heavily wooded, painstakingly, and time requirements being pretty intense for those things. This project, this parcel is not any of that. It's, as Brendan said, wide open. You can pretty much see everything from everywhere. It's an easily accessible site. It's not terribly large in that it would, you know, require extensive field work to monitor on an annual basis. So I think it would be a manageable CR for our current staff. That's point one. Point two, I think that Brandon's also correct. The site is somewhat unique given its presence on the at the head of tide of the Slocum River. The Slocum right now is, you know, being evaluated quite intensely for nutrient and bacteria load. Just for the record, both Eduardo and myself participated in a town-sponsored water quality sampling event on on Thursday, in which several stations on the Slocum, mostly the lower Slocum, and one offshore site in the bay, which Eduardo and I sampled. So we're trying to put together a municipal database of water quality. There is great concern about the Slocum. So that, any development that can be removed or taken offline is certainly a help. And lastly, the siting of this is also unique in that it is a village center. It is proximal to a very valuable waterway, and it is adjacent to a lot of publicly owned land. A, the landing, and B, right across the road is
Parsons.
the DNRT Parsons Reservation. So again, we're expanding a patch of open space. I mean, I realize this is a small acreage, but anything to do that is valuable. And again, I fall back on the fact that it is probably an easily maintained and an easily monitored site from the staff's point of view.
Thank you, Mark. Speaking for myself, I completely agree with what was said by both Mark and by Brandon in terms of the ease with which it can be managed. I also think knowing that Buzzards Bay is involved gives me some assurance that we have an organization that has the same outlook on how to protect our valuable resources as we do. And they have done an extraordinary job with all the other properties they manage. So I think that's a component to take into consideration as well. Personally, I think it's a CR that the conservation should hold. Yeah, this is an incredible opportunity for the town of Dartmouth to be able to preserve that area, to have some passive recreation there so folks will have access to the water, and it ties in, it's harmonious with what's already there. I just think it's a wonderful opportunity, and I'm all for it. Do any other commissioners have any questions?
I drive by it twice a day on all three sides that you can, so I can keep an eye on it.
There you go. We've
It's on my
already
way to
got
work. It's on my way to and from work. I drive by all three sides. The only side I don't see is the river side, but I do
I'll
see it
volunteer to
from
do
the
that.
road.
I'll volunteer to go into. Any other commissioner have any questions? Seeing none, I'll entertain a motion to authorize Mark Garrett, the Environmental Affairs Coordinator, to sign a letter of recommendation to indicate that the Town of Dartmouth Conservation Commission will be willing to hold a conservation restriction on this project.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, we have a seconded motion on the floor. Roll call vote. James?
Yes.
Nat?
Yes.
Donald?
Yes.
Richard?
Yes.
My vote is yes. That passes unanimously. Well, go to it, Brandon.
Thank you all. We'll be in touch with you tomorrow, Mark.
Thursday would be better.
Perfect. Thank you. Have a good night, everybody. Thank
Good
you.
night. All right, we're going back on to the public hearings, and our third was a continued public hearing, DEP file 15-2783, NOI 25-17. It's on the notice of intent from Stephen and Casual. I can't pronounce it. I gotta say it. I know I'm gonna mess it up. Vincelia to build a 145-foot long fixed dock on an existing single-family lot with associated gangway and float components. It's within land under the ocean, rocky intertidal shore, salt marsh, land containing shellfish, and land subject to coastal storm flowage. The regulations are 310 CMR 10.02, 10.04, 10.25, 10.31, 10.32, and rather 10.34, and Section 362B of the Town of Dartmouth bylaws. The land is described as map 35 lot 23-2. It's otherwise known as 173 Gulf Road. I'll entertain a motion to waive the reading.
So moved.
Second.
We have a seconded motion on the floor. Roll call vote. James,
Yes.
Nat,
Yes.
Donald,
yes,
Richard.
Yes.
My vote is yes. That passes unanimously. There's someone here this evening to speak on behalf of the applicant.
Yes, good evening, Mr. Chairman. I'm Seth LeBlanc with Principe Engineering. I'm joined here with Abby Ismail, also from Principe. We're representing the client. I'll try to get this name right. The Vicinellis for the construction of a dock at 173 Gulf Road for access to Apponeganset Bay. The design has been revised to address some comments from the last public hearing and also including a submerged aquatic vegetation assessment by Ecotones. Abby's put a lot of work into this project, and she will be sharing her screen and going over these changes and where the project currently stands. Abby, when you're ready.
All right, thank you, Seth. Okay.
Okay, go right ahead. Your screen is visible.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. Yes, so as Seth mentioned, this design has been revised from what was previously presented in order to address some concerns and also reflect the findings of the vegetation survey that was completed on June 19th by Ecotones. So it is now 140 foot long fixed pier with a gangway extending to a 10 by 20 float, which has been rotated. It was previously in a T configuration and extending more perpendicular from the shoreline. Based on the findings of these two widgeon grass areas, we revised it to provide additional space from those areas. And in addition to that, reflecting the concerns from the Massachusetts Division of Marine Fisheries, we also revised both the pier and float heights. So this will be more visible on the profile sheet. So this dock extends over an area of salt marsh. And in order to achieve the improved 1.5 to 1 height to width ratio, while maintaining the desired 4-foot width of the dock, we revised the height of the fixed portion to allow for 6 feet of vertical clearance at mean high water. So that is a 1-foot increase. And we have also revised the float elevation. The float stops will be set at 1 foot to allow, an improved separation of the 30 inches at mean low water. So these changes are to address the concerns regarding shading in the salt marsh area, as well as the potential of shellfish habitat in the area. And in addition to those changes, we are maintaining what was previously presented of the increased decking spacing, allowing for 3/4 inch spacing. So that will remain in the design. The other comment that we received between the last time this plan was presented was the presence of Town of Dartmouth proposed high-speed recreational boating area in the harbor. And we have been coordinating with the harbor master to receive those coordinates for that area. So that is shown here. And as you can see, it's 372 feet away, the outer boundary of this area to the outer edge of the float. So we hope that this revised plan addresses the primary concerns that were raised.
Thank you, Abby. Anybody have any questions that we can answer?
Well, I'd like to hear from staff's comments first. So,
Okay.
Mark, do you have any comments that you want us to know about?
Yes, I do. In reviewing the revised plans, I think Principe did a reasonably good job in addressing all of the comments that have been raised by the harbor master, by DMF, and by myself. And at this juncture, I am prepared to recommend a standard order of conditions as per the new dock plan dated June 25th, 2025, with some modifications. Okay, and those modifications will read this way. Special condition 41. Given the project's proximity to the proposed high-speed recreation activity use zone, as shown on the plan of record, the town or the lawful users of the zone shall not be liable for any damages to structures or crafts associated with this dock, nor shall any activity associated with this dock interfere with the lawful use of the proposed high-speed recreational activity use zone. Special condition 42. Any activity associated with this dock shall not interfere or impact any existing or future seagrass beds as they change from year to year. Knowing where yearly stands of seagrass are located will be the responsibility of the applicants or their agents. Special condition 43. Given the limited surface area impacts to the documented shellfish beds, the applicants shall reconcile any shellfish mitigation efforts to be determined by the harbor master / shellfish officer, and any agreed upon resolution shall be copied to the Conservation Commission prior to commencing with this construction. Special condition 44 is just the file number. So we are recommending approval as per the plan with those modified conditions.
Thank you, Mark. Does any commissioner have any question?
I have a question.
Yes.
Does this project require any additional permits from the state, coastal zone management, any agency like that?
The project will require a waterways license from the Department of Environmental Protection under the Chapter 91 program. CZM is not a permit issuing authority. They are just a resource manager review and commenting. But DEP Waterways, which is the regulations for that are 310 CMR 9, which is not specifically conservation jurisdiction, but in fact, the state jurisdiction for licensing any structure on, over, or in a water of the Commonwealth, of which Upon-Agansett Bay is one of those waters.
And what is the status of that application or permit from the state?
I don't know what the status is. The applicant could answer that, but they would not get a waterways license for this project unless they receive an order of conditions from this commission. So in fact, this is the appropriate step, step-by-step approach. They can't build a dock until they get a waterways license.
Okay.
Good questions. Does any other commissioner have a question? And if you wouldn't mind, could you please stop sharing the screen so I can thank you? Is there anyone in the audience that wants to speak on this application? I don't see any. At this juncture, I'll entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
So moved.
Second.
We have a seconded motion on the floor. Roll call vote. James,
Yes.
Nat,
Yes.
Donald,
Yes.
Richard.
Yes.
My vote is yes. That passes unanimously. Commissioners, we've heard staff's recommendation, seen the presentation. At this juncture, I'll entertain a motion to issue a standard order of conditions on the revised plan that was filed and dated June 25, 2025, with the modifications to conditions 41, 42, 43, and 44 as read into the record by Mr. Garrett.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
We have a seconded motion on the floor. Roll call vote. James,
Yes.
Nat,
Yes.
Donald,
yes,
Richard.
Yes.
My vote is yes. That motion passes unanimously. Thank you very much.
Thank you for your time.
You're welcome. Our fourth public hearing is DEP file 15-2789, NOI 25-22. It's on the notice of intent from Craig and Elizabeth Lutz, care of Alan Haru, for a house addition renovation with a proposed sewer connection to land subject to coastal storm flowage and the 100-foot buffer zone to a coastal bank and salt marsh. The applicable regulations are 310 CMR 10.02, 10.04, 10.30, 10.32, and Section 362B of the Town of Dartmouth bylaw. The existing subsurface sewage disposal system will be properly abandoned on the land, and the land is described as map 116, lot 5, otherwise known as 2 Star of the Sea Drive. I'll entertain a motion to waive the reading.
Moved.
Second.
We have a seconded motion on the floor. Roll call vote. James,
Yes.
Nat,
Yes.
Donald,
yes,
Richard.
Yes.
My vote is yes. That motion passes unanimously. Alan, you have the floor.
Thank you. Good evening, Mr. Chairman and members of the commission. For the record, my name is Alan Haru, and I'm a professional civil engineer. For this hearing, I'm here on behalf of Craig and Elizabeth Lutz, owners of a single-family house on the northerly side of the cul-de-sac at the end of Star of the Sea Drive, house number 2. The record plan is entitled Site and Sewer Plan, dated May 22nd, 2025. The entire lot is within land subject to coastal storm flowage. We propose a small house addition renovation with a sewer connection using an E1 grinder pump in the 100-foot buffer zone to a coastal bank and salt marsh. The existing septic system will be properly abandoned and inspected by the Board of Health. I'm happy to answer your questions or share my screen to show you an aerial photo or picture of the plan if you'd like.
I don't think, from my standpoint, we've already received as part of our packet, so I don't need to see it. I look at my print copy, but if any commissioner wants to see it on the screen, please let me know. Okay. Thank you, Alan. Mark, can I hear staff's comments on this request?
Yeah, it's pretty simple. The work is associated with the existing house. Basically, the addition is going over existing decking. I think what is critical to this project is the abandonment of a septic system and going to sewer, therefore reducing leaching into the upper Apponeganset Bay, which, just for the record, Apponeganset Bay is an invaluable resource to the town. The lower bay tends to flush very well because there's very little restriction. The upper bay does not flush so well simply because we have a Mass DOT causeway, which is a solid fill causeway across 90% of the harbor. And then there is a small bridge structure near the village, which greatly reduces the ability for the bay to flush out. So any reduction in potential nutrient contribution to the upper bay is certainly welcome. Having said that, staff is recommending a standard order of condition as per the site and sewer plan dated May 22nd, 2025, with no modifications or additions.
Thank you, Mark. Does any commissioner have any questions? I don't see any. Is there anyone in the audience that wants to be heard this evening on this application? I don't see any. At this juncture, I would entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
So moved.
Second.
We have a seconded motion on the floor. Roll call vote. James,
Yes.
Nat,
Yes.
Donald,
yes,
Richard?
Yes.
My vote is yes, that motion passes unanimously. I'll now entertain a motion to issue a standard order of conditions on the plan filed and dated May 22nd, 2025, with no
So,
further conditions.
so moved.
Second.
We have a seconded motion on the floor. Roll call vote. James?
Yes.
Nat?
Yes.
Donald?
yes,
Richard?
Yes.
My vote is yes. That motion passes unanimously. Thank you, Alan. And it looks like you're up for the next one, too.
I think Mark is going to handle it. Thank you, Mr.
Okay.
Chairman. Thank
You're
you.
welcome. So on the next, our fifth public hearing, it's a public hearing on DEP file. Do we have that number, Mark?
Oh, yes, I'm sorry. It's 2792.
Thank you. We're having a public hearing on DEP file 15-2792, NOI 2525. It's on the notice of intent from Jonathan and Eve Rounds, care of Mark A. Boucher, for the proposed addition to a single-family home and associated grading within the 100-foot buffer zone to a bordering vegetated wetland and land subject to coastal storm flowage. The applicable regulations are 310 CMR 10.02, 10.04, 10.55, and Section 362B of the Town of Dartmouth bylaw. The land is described as map 113, lot 30-1. It's otherwise known as 15 High Street. I'll entertain a motion to waive the reading.
So moved.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Motion on the floor. Roll call vote. James?
Yes.
Nat?
Yes.
Donald?
yes,
Richard?
Mr. Chair, I must recuse myself from this proceeding.
Okay, let the record note that Commissioner Mallon has recused himself from this proceeding. My vote is yes, that motion passes unanimously. Okay, Mark, you're up.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
For the record, my name is Mark Boucher with Boucher and Associates, and I'm here this evening on behalf of my clients, Jonathan and Eve Rounds, at 15 High Street, who are proposing to add an addition onto the rear of their house with a small amount of associated grading. The work is entirely within the buffer zone, as Mike said at the beginning, and a portion of the addition extends into the zone AE flood zone, but the elevations are well above the flood zone and in compliance with the regulations for that type of construction. We did make a small revision to the initial submittal plan based on a comment by the DPW asking us to show the erosion control siltation and to clarify what the construction entrance will be, which we have done and submitted copies. I'd be happy to share my screen if necessary and answer any questions that the commission or anyone else may have.
Thank you, Mark. I won't need the screen share for the reasons I stated before. But if any commissioner would like it to be shared, please let me know, and Mark will be happy to do so. All right, I don't see anybody. Okay, Mark Garrett, could I please have the recommendations of staff?
Yeah, before I go into it, Mark, I just want to make sure I got the right dates here. What is the date of the revised plan?
The plan of record has a revision date, July 2nd, 2025.
Okay, that's the one I have. Okay. All right. Very simply put, this is a fairly simple project. It's located within the upper end of it's located within the buffer zone, and it's in the extreme upper extent of land subject to coastal storm flowage. I would agree with Mr. Boucher that it's probably above most flooding elevations, even though it falls within the AE zone. It's minor work and it's in predominantly lawn area. It's attached to, it's an addition onto the existing house. And staff recommends issuance of a standard order of conditions according to the site plan showing addition dated July 2nd, 2025.
Thank you, Mark. Does any commissioner have any questions? I don't see any. Is there anyone in the audience this evening that wants to speak on this application? Once again, I don't see anybody. I'll entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
So moved.
Second.
We have a seconded motion on the floor. Roll call vote. James?
Yes.
Matt?
Yes.
Donald?
Yes.
Richard?
I recuse myself.
I'm sorry, you recused yourself. I'm sorry. Yes, you did. I don't want to pull you into it. You did recuse yourself. And my vote is yes. Commissioners, I will now entertain a motion to issue a standard order of conditions in accordance with the plan, which was filed and dated June 2nd, 2025.
So moved.
Second.
The seconded motion, roll call vote. James?
Yes.
Matt?
Yes.
Donald?
Yes.
My vote is yes. That motion passes unanimously. Thank you, Mark.
Thank you. Thank you all. Have a good evening.
Good evening. We're moving now to our sixth and final public hearing. It's a public hearing on DEP file. This one I need a number with as well, Mark.
2793.
Okay, on a DEP file number 15-2793, NOI 25-26. It's the after the fact notice of intent from Robert Santos representing Sunrun Solar to replace and restore tree specimens removed without proper permitting within the 100-foot buffer zone to a bordering vegetated wetland and riverfront area. The applicable regulations are 310 CMR, 10.02, 10.55, 10.58, and Section 362B of the Town of Dartmouth bylaws. The land is described as map 155, lot 81. It's otherwise known as 356 Carroll Street. I'll entertain a motion to waive the reading.
So moved.
Second.
We have a seconded motion on the floor. Roll call vote. James?
Yes.
Nat?
Yes.
Donald?
Yes.
Richard?
Yes.
My vote is yes. That motion passes unanimously. And I see Mr. Rayum is here. So,
Yes.
Rich, you have the floor.
Okay. So the solar company was over aggressive in making the solar panels unshaded and felled a number of significant mature trees. Unfortunately, a number of them were on somebody else's property, and they were in a riverfront area and in a buffer zone. So we were hired after the fact to do the planting plan and prepare this after the fact notice of intent. We dealt extensively with the landowner on which most of the trees, had been cut, and his attorney, Jim Marsh, and got to the point where it was an acceptable plan to him. So we're not going to remove the stumps of the trees that were cut. They'll probably sprout some decent replacement shoots, but we're going to plant some indigenous species that have habitat value, pollinator, and the like. Then there is some invasive species that have come in, and the owner wants us to have that controlled. So on the plan, it calls for it's Japanese knotweed primarily, and that will be cut and controlled and monitored for a few years to make sure that it's under control. That's the presentation. You can share a screen if you want.
Again, I don't need it, but if any commissioner would like it, please let me know. I don't see anybody. Mark, do you have, I'm sure you do, have comments on this application?
Yeah, this is and this is of no fault of Prime. I'm gonna state that up front. Prime did an excellent job of getting this in time. This violation dates back to, I think it's February now, in which we had a complaint from an abutting neighbor who was the victim of an overly aggressive solar company whose singular mind was to make their panels as efficient as possible. I'm assuming with the permission of the landowner, of the landowner who had the solar panels installed on his land, not the abutter where the actual activities took place. Was very protracted, at times not so pleasant interaction with the solar company. The individual who was victim was reasonably cooperative, but he certainly has a property, violation issue, which is above and beyond us, and that kept clouding his approach to solving the problem, the environmental problem as it stands. Fortunately, both myself and Rich spent a fair amount of time with him and then subsequently with his attorney, James Marsh. And we got everybody together to resolve the environmental/wetland issue. And that was the revegetation of the property owned by Jack Carrico. And he finally agreed and signed off. The plans submitted to you are the plans of record, and we think it's a very appropriate replanting program. And there is a bonus that Prime had recommended, and the client or the landowner agreed to some Japanese knotweed eradication, which certainly is a good thing from the wetland. So having said all that, this is a very reasonable response to the enforcement order, which we were forced to issue, and requiring the after-effect notice of intent for activities occurring within jurisdiction. And having said that, staff is recommending a standard order of conditions with our standard restoration conditions as per the planting remediation plan revised on June 30th of 2025. And we would like to, as part of those conditions, we are requiring work to be completed by October 15th of 2025, which is the end of the growing season.
Thank you, Mark. Does any commissioner have any questions they would like to ask either Mr. Rayum or Mark? I don't see any. Is there anyone here this evening that wants to speak on this application? Again, I don't see anybody. So I will entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
So moved.
So moved.
Seconded motion on the floor. Roll call
Second.
vote.
Okay.
James,
Yes.
Nat,
Yes.
Donald,
Yes.
Richard.
Yes.
My vote is yes. That motion passes unanimously. Commissioners, based on the presentation, the materials filed, and the recommendation of staff, I'll entertain a motion to issue a standard order of conditions based upon the most recent revised plan, which was filed and dated June 30, 2025, with our standard restoration conditions and one additional condition that all restoration work be completed by October 15, 2025.
Oh,
Second.
With a seconded motion on the floor, roll call vote. James,
Yes.
Nat,
Yes.
Donald,
Yes.
Richard.
yes.
My vote is yes. That motion passes unanimously. Thank you, Rich.
Thank you very much. Have a good evening.
That concludes the public hearings, but we do have items for discussion. So Mark, I'll leave it to you.
Real brief here. The first discussion item is something called Code of Contact from the Select Board. The Select Board is in the process of approving a code of conduct for their board. And upon that sign off and approval, they are going to distribute their code of conduct to all boards and commissions in the town for their consideration and hopeful adoption. Certainly changing the wording from code of conduct of the select board to code of conduct of whomever, to try to get a consistent code across the town government. I only raise this, I'm not only as an FYI, as soon as I get it, you will get it. So just be aware that that's coming down the road. It's always promised soonest, but it usually takes a little bit of time to get these things out. So that's the one item. The only enforcement issue that we have is we did issue the enforcement order as voted by this commission for 1342 North Hicksville Road. It was sent out on June 27th, 2025, with a date to respond of July 10th, which is this Thursday. We have yet to hear. Should they not respond, is the commission, this is another long-standing, this started back in December also, or actually before December, I think it was November. If we do not get a response to the enforcement order, which we initially did not issue an enforcement order, they seem to be trying to get the job done, and then they went dark 30 on us. So the question is, if they don't submit by July 10th, which is a second or third reminder, do you want me to push this over to town council for their review and possible litigation?
I think that's appropriate, Mark. I mean, that's the correct process. And, we'll be caught in an endless vortex of sending reminder notices that go unheeded with the hope that no action will be taken. And that's not a path I want to go down.
Yeah, we've worked very diligently to, close out enforcement. We've had a lot of long-standing enforcement. We still do. And some of them are just nearly impossible to close out. We're making headway on those, but we have closed out many, newer enforcement orders and older ones. I do believe the community understands that we're pretty serious about this stuff. So while they're still doing it, we are getting, closure and, wetland and environmental reparations for damages done. So as I'd like a vote to send this to town council, if at all possible. If we don't hear a response, which is an after the fact notice of intent, by Thursday, July 10th.
Commissioners, I'll entertain a motion to authorize the Environmental Affairs Coordinator to turn the matter of 1342 North Hicksville Road over to Town Council for their review and possible commencement of legal action if there isn't a satisfactory response to the letter, which was dated June 26, 2025, and sent out on June 27, 2025. That response would be due this upcoming Thursday, July 10th, 2025.
Minor correction, it's not a letter now, it is an enforcement order.
Okay.
We have sent out an enforcement order.
Enforcement order then. Sorry, thank you for the correction.
So
May I
moved.
have-
So moved.
It was second on that motion, please.
Second.
Seconded motion. Roll call vote. James,
Yes.
Nat,
Yes.
Donald,
Yes.
Richard.
Yes.
My vote is yes. That motion passes unanimously. I have no further matters to bring before the commission. I don't know if any commissioner has anything. Not seeing anything. I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
We have a seconded motion on the floor. Roll call vote. James,
Yes.
Nat,
Yes.
Donald,
Yes.
Richard.
Yes.
My vote is yes. That motion passes unanimously. Donald, welcome aboard. Glad to have you.
Yes, thank you.
Participation. Those are great questions. Gentlemen, have a great week and evening.